Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Google Pixel 10 Pro XL and compare it against the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra and see which particular device is the better one for you. Now, both these phones are very interesting because they are slightly different, but you're also still going to be able to go through and unlock so much cool stuff between these two devices. And there is a lot of really cool stuff between these types of devices when it kind of comes down to it. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at it throughout this whole entire video. But first things first, if you do want to go through and pick up any one of these particular devices, links will be down in the description below. You can get them from there, and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these phones, the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra came out a little bit earlier this year. And the thing I can definitely tell you here is that with the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, this is still a very, very good looking phone. It's like just a couple of months old. It's not even a year old yet. And this phone on the front side is giving you a 6.9-inch dynamic LTPO AMOLED display. Now, the thing I can definitely tell you without a doubt, this is a really, really good looking device. If you're in the market and you're trying to go through and pick up some sort of a device, the panel of this thing looks very good. It's a very sharp looking phone. It's giving you 1440p 120Hz and it's 2600 nits of peak brightness. That right there is another really big takeaway, because if you're planning on buying a phone, like I said before, this is a really cool phone to basically buy. It also is giving you a lot of cool stuff built in as well, which we'll talk about in a second. But without a doubt, if you're planning on buying a phone, this is a really good device from that perspective. And I, for one, am a really, really big fan of the way this type of device holds up from that particular side. So from the S25 Ultra, I think it's a beautiful looking phone for sure. Now with something like the Google Pixel 10 Pro XL, this one is going to be giving you a 6.8-inch LTPO OLED display. So this panel on this phone is a little bit different because it is going to be giving you like a little bit of a different type of panel layout, although it still is like a pretty good looking device when it comes down to it. With the Google Pixel 10 Pro XL, this one's an LTPO OLED display, 120Hz, and for the most part, I'm going to be honest, like if you're going to go through and pick up a particular panel, like I still think this thing looks pretty good. There's really not that much to hate on here from a panel like on the Google Pixel 10 Pro XL, and it's giving you 3300 nits of peak brightness. That right there is actually a really crazy bright panel to have inside of that type of device. And I definitely will tell you, if you're going to go through and pick up some sort of a device panel, the Pixel 10 Pro XL's panel is definitely brighter, but I think the S25 Ultra's panel still looks pretty good when it comes down to it. Both of these phones are giving you USB Type-C ports. The S25 Ultra though does have a really nice, kind of touch to it. That phone is kind of giving you this S Pen built inside, which is a really cool thing. The 10 Pro XL unfortunately is not really kind of giving, it doesn't really give you anything like that, but it still is a pretty good looking phone from that side. On the back side, the S25 Ultra is giving you this frosted glass back, which again looks and feels very, very nice, where the 10 Pro XL is also giving you this frosted glass back. Camera setups all throughout, both of them have wireless charging and reverse wireless charging, which is really nice. And there's not really too much else to kind of keep in mind here between them. Of course, they're both almost like major flagships from both these manufacturers. And these two phones hold up very, very well when it comes down to it, because they're like some of the best phones you can buy. So at least from that side, that kind of covers it up there for the most part. Now, one other thing to keep in mind here too is basically the price tag. They're both roughly around the same price, but in the used market, the S25 Ultra is now for around $840, making that device kind of like a little bit of a better deal here and there. So that right there could be another big takeaway here if you're planning on picking up a phone. That one is going to be giving you a slightly better experience from that particular side, which could be another one of these important things to keep in mind there for the most part as well. It's really just up to you how you kind of take a look at it. So from that side as well, that kind of covers it up there too. Now, another really big thing to keep in mind here as well is basically when it comes down to their capability of their cameras. So this is always, something that's really important to kind of keep in mind here, because if you're trying to go through and pick up a device from a camera standpoint, it's always good to be able to go through and pick up a device that's going to be giving you just an overall better experience. And with something like the Pixel 10 Pro XL, this phone is giving you this, kind of like triple camera setup. The Galaxy S25 Ultra is giving you this quadruple camera setup. So from that side too, if you're trying to go through and pick up the device, that is going to be giving you an overall better experience from that side. And once again, definitely it's going to be something like a Google Pixel. The Galaxy S25 Ultra is probably going to be the one that's going to be giving you an overall better type of experience, at least from what I can tell you. So I think the Pixel 10 Pro XL's camera is still good. You're getting 8K on the back, 4K at 60 on the front, but I would imagine that if you're going to go through and pick up some sort of a device like a Google Pixel 10 Pro XL's camera, it's still going to be good. It's still going to give you a lot of capability, but I feel like the Galaxy S25 Ultra's camera is probably going to be the one that might make more sense for me to recommend to people rather than something like a Google Pixel 10 Pro XL. So from that side too, that kind of covers it up there. Now on top of that, when it comes down to the capability, like when it basically comes down to their, sought for longevity, this is also another really big thing to keep in mind here too. So both these phones are probably going to be supported for many, many years now. It really is dependent on you though. Do you like One UI more? Do you like stock Android? There's pros and cons for both. Stock Android, gives you a more stockish feel. It can feel a little bit nicer for some people. But One UI has definitely been aging up a lot better and has definitely been growing and giving us a lot more features built inside as well. So that right there could be a nice thing going on for One UI. But it also is just dependent on how you're going to kind of take a look at it. Do you want to go through and pick up a device that's on, like a skin version of Android like that? If you're okay with it, then by all means, I'd recommend getting that type of device. But if you're not okay with it, there's also a lot of other devices you can go through and kind of pick up as well when it kind of comes down to it from that side as well. So again, it's kind of just dependent on you, but that's kind of probably another way to kind of think about it as well. Now, on top of that, when it comes down to their performance, this is also another very big difference. From a performance perspective, it's always best to be able to go through and buy a device that's going to be giving you just an overall better type of experience. And when you're buying something like a Google Pixel 10 Pro XL, this type of device for the most part, it's giving you that Tensor G5 chipset with 16GB of RAM. With the S25 Ultra, it's giving you the Snapdragon 8 Elite chipset with 12 or 16GB of RAM. And the biggest thing I can tell you from a performance perspective is that the Galaxy S25 Ultra's performance is going to be significantly better than something like a than a Google Pixel 10 Pro XL. So this one is like without a doubt, without even getting into too many details, that type of device is going to be giving you a far better type of experience than something like a Google Pixel, 10 Pro XL. I think the 10 Pro XL's performance is still good and it's still going to be able to give you a good type of experience, but it definitely makes a lot more sense for me to go through and recommend something like a Google Pixel, basically like a Google Pixel, like a Galaxy S25 Ultra rather than a Google Pixel 10 Pro XL. So to kind of sum up this whole entire comparison, and the thing I can definitely tell you is that if I'm about to go through and pick up a device, I definitely would imagine that going through and buying something like a Google Pixel 10 Pro XL, I think for some people might be good and it might give you some capability here and there. But I genuinely do think at the same time, if you're able to go through and kind of buy some other types of devices like an S25 Ultra or a Galaxy S25 even, those types of devices would probably make more sense for me to recommend to people to buy rather than this one, right? The 10 Pro XL I think is good enough and I think it's like giving like some like good experiences here and there. But again, it just doesn't really make a lot of sense for me to recommend to people. And like, if I'm about to go through and pick up a device, this one just doesn't really make too much sense in my personal opinion. So from that particular standpoint, that kind of covers it up there for the most part. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.